fight. I mean, it's hard not to tune into something like that. That's going to be very, very, very intriguing. McGregor's fight isn't going to be as intriguing, just simply because I wish it was Nick Diaz. I mean, I'm shocked there isn't more of an outcry over that. Nate Diaz is by no means a bad fighter. Nate Diaz has been in a lot of fights, a lot of wars, but if you recall, Nate Diaz has had his chin checked, and he's been stopped a couple of times. And everybody knows he's a lesser version of his older brother. He hasn't had a bad career, but his career hasn't been as illustrious or as long as Nick Diaz. And my thing is this: if this clown, Rafael dos Anjos, pulls out of the fight with a bruised foot, that fight was going to be the biggest fight in history. The biggest fight in history. If he pulls out of that fight, you got to match it. I mean, it's Conor McGregor. This is the main event guy. This is the guy who everybody's talking about. Oh, you know what? He's the main show. And I think that's a disrespect to the undercards, because you have Holly Holm answering a lot of questions in her first title defense ever since beating Ronda Rousey. That's a pretty big fight that she's having against Miesha Tate. But you're going to keep that second fiddle as the undercard and keep Conor McGregor in the main event, and you're not going to put a big fight there? I'm shocked that more people aren't complaining, saying, why couldn't it be Nick Diaz? I don't want to hear about the drug charge, the whole, he was caught with marijuana. Everybody knows, including Dana White, that that's nonsense. Everybody knows that that's nonsense. Everybody knows that that's nonsense. Banned for 5 years because you were caught with marijuana. Don't get me wrong, I'm with Stephen A. Smith in that these dudes need to stay off the weed. I'm totally with him when he says that. But with that said, the dude's a big draw when it comes to events. He's been out for quite a while now. It will be nothing to lift the suspension and let the guy come back and compete. He was not caught with PEDs. Because the thing is, if you're replacing Rafael dos Anjos and you're keeping Conor in the main event, why would you have little Nate there with his big brother right there? Everybody knows Nick Diaz is a legend. He's a legend. And he's always showed up in big fights. Whether he's lost or won, he's always showed up in big fights. He's clearly on another level from his younger brother. Why are you putting Conor in against his little brother? Come on, man. That's a joke. You know how intriguing it would be to see Nick Diaz versus Conor McGregor? Oh my goodness.
Now for a break.
I'm not so sure it's just a suspension why that didn't happen. And I hate to say that, but I have a feeling that there's other things at play too, as far as fear when it comes to that whole snub, because that really didn't make any sense. And there was even talk that, oh, they were all ready to do that. If you were ready to do it, you would have did it. Come on, man. But there's so many qualities I like about Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor is such a tactician, and he's such a blue collar guy when it comes to being about his work. And that's another thing that I really like about him. I relate to a lot of his approach. He can be a little over the top sometimes, but I totally get his approach to things. And he's very, very scientific with how he breaks things down. But one of the topics too that just brings to mind is just, and I don't know if anyone is with me on this, but it's just something really frustrating when you're about your business. If you know me, I'm about my business. I don't play around. You know, I'm about getting work done. And when you're just surrounded by people who they just want to play with themselves, like that is really frustrating, you know? Like when you come to a place of employment and you're all about getting the work done, you're productive, you're efficient, you know, you're mindful of the people you're dealing with, the people you're doing business with, and then you have people that you're working quote unquote side by side with, and all they're focused on is just stupid stuff, how much they can't stand you and stuff like that. And these people are all older than you. You know, there's something really just frustrating about that. Not really covering a lot of it because, I mean, come on. I've also heard you got Badu Jack facing Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., which is like, you know, a joke fight. Come on. And just, you know, if you've seen that last fight with Terrence Crawford versus Hammer Hank Lundy, I mean, these fights, I was just telling somebody the other day, this is like death row records going on, you know? Like Al Heyman is Suge Knight. It's amazing. I mean, these are like literal ring murders, bro. There's a lot of people that have heart. Yeah, if you take two hood dudes from the hood, yeah, they're going to have heart. But anybody can tell you, you take a freaking 5'1" and a 6'8" guy from the hood. Yeah, they both gonna you know, stick their chest out and jaw it up. But it's like a Chihuahua versus a Pit Bull. It's a mismatch. And it was laughable to see some of these matchups because same thing with Leo Santa Cruz. And I'm a big fan of his. But him and Terrence Crawford, come on, man. You have to do is beating down on these midgets. Come on, man. That's the stuff they accuse Conor McGregor of. Beating down on these midgets. I'm looking at these guys at the weigh-ins and at the press conferences. I'm like, come on, man. Everybody knew he was being legalized to wail on Hank Lundy. And that's exactly what he did. Pounded him out. But nobody's criticizing that, though. But we'll see what materializes between Andre Ward and Kovalev, because that, too, will be an intriguing matchup. It's interesting for Ward to take that fight, and he seems very serious about it. If he takes that, a lot of people are going to have to forget the criticism that he's getting for supposedly dodging Triple G, which I find stupid. Because anybody that was covering or following the talks between those two knows Triple G was asked several times if he would consider facing Andre Ward, and he would put on this little sheepish thing. I didn't know, you know, he bought him, you know, who knows? I didn't know. I just wanted, you know. I'm like, are you serious? And somehow that translates to Triple G fight anyone. He's not. I'm like, are you kidding me? And even him, more death row records. He's fighting some dude who looks like, I mean, some hobo from freaking downtown. I don't remember the dude's name. But Triple G is going to be allowed to go and pound on him. I'm like, are you guys kidding me? Like, what is this love fest everybody has with Triple G? I like Triple G, and I think he's a lot more skilled than he gets credit for. But let's knock the nonsense off. He was not beating down Andre Ward's door to fight. He did not really want to fight. He was scared of getting pounded out. Like, let's knock the nonsense off. But if Andre Ward goes up to face Kovalev, all that talk is going to have to stop, because Kovalev would be possibly a more dangerous matchup, even though I picked Triple G to win in the matchup with Kovalev, which a lot of people don't agree with me on, but whatever. But I still think the matchup of Ward versus Kovalev may pose more problems than if he fought Triple G. And there's a lot of reasons behind that, but I'm definitely looking forward to if that does go down. That'll be very, very interesting.
Now for a break.
Energy through the cathode explodes the element tungsten to make the unknown radiation expose. He said there's no such thing as random. The binary code is just an anthem. Regardless of options, patterns repeat, but you can still bet on heads and suffer defeat. Throughout history, life has been circles through generations, but a span of life could never hold. Filling up with science while still uncovering holes, similar to what offenses are looking for. The irony is awesome with defenses preventing goals. More rings than Saturn, but I'm too far to show it. I wrote The Emperor. Am I a lyricist or just a physicist? Spectrum of color separating brothers. Black is the absence of color, white is the rainbow. In between is ammunition, degenerate situation. I mystified my enemies before their demise. Don't be consumed because the package is merely disguised. What is life with the meteor eye in the sky? You will write poems, you will leap over hills, sacrifice nations, and it all makes sense through your treacherous heart. He's a man who transforms, committed to move forward, but you will never forgive due to the way it starts. I know that one day, in some way, I will be free. I know little flowers and
GSP is supposed to be coming back.
There's no creature or action that was
And just a few super fights left. I mean, everybody's talking about Freddie Roach and Teddy Atlas going at it. Pacquiao Bradley 3 is intriguing. It is intriguing. I'm not going to deny that. That is an intriguing matchup because I really don't know. When I look at, even though it's a lot deeper, as far as technically speaking, when I look at Teddy Atlas and Timothy Bradley, it almost brings a tear to your eye because it's almost like watching Mick and Rocky, like Cuss and Mike. They have that powerful throwback relationship where they go back to the roots of boxing. And you're seeing it in his performances. Even though it was against a soft-bellied Brandon Rios that he got that KO, he looked like a completely different person. And with Teddy Atlas in his corner, there is no telling how good he could be. If he shows up, even though that's kind of intriguing because let's not forget, Freddie Roach is a great trainer in his own right. And Pacquiao has been looking very explosive, and he's adding tools to his arsenal. Because remember, he's not just preparing just to have a bow-out fight. He's preparing to run through Timothy Bradley in spectacular fashion and call out another Mayweather fight. He's not saying it now, but that's exactly what he's planning to do. Which angers me a little bit because I don't even want to bother with the rematch. Just seeing how the whole world has no idea what happened in the first fight. It's like, what's the point? You really think Mayweather's going to dare step in the ring without a game plan to go in there and survive? And if you know me, I'm a tactician, I'm a technician. I'm a purist when it comes to the sport, and I definitely respect Mayweather. I'm one of his biggest fans. But what's the point of putting that performance in front of the public, a public that can't even understand what Mayweather does? They don't even understand what it looks like for Mayweather to be outboxed. Because the minute he starts doing his thing in the ring,